All right, well, man, do I feel all grown up here on YouTube because it's time to respond to some comments. Let's dig in. Hi, this is Dr. Brett Pearce, child psychologist, and today we're just going to spend, maybe 5 minutes or so responding to some comments. There's been some very lovely ones and a few ouch ones, I guess. So let's dig in. Probably the biggest one. So a couple months ago, I made a video responding to one Dr. Eric Berg, who is a chiropractor, who posted a video on ADHD, or rather, what he doesn't seem to know about ADHD. And I responded to that video, and that there's been some comments and things like that. So someone says that they just got diagnosed, and thanks for teaching me things that I didn't know. You are welcome. I guess for some reason I feel a little bit self-conscious about naming names, but hey, I guess you publicly commented on one of my videos, so maybe I should relax. But, either way, thank you. You're welcome. That's kind of the whole point of this channel, is that I'm out here to try to give people good information, as well as my opinions on various things, being a psychologist. Oh, ouch. Here comes an ouch one. Someone says, first, they had two comments. First, they said that, well, yeah, ADHD is genetic, but it needs to be triggered to be expressed, and that diet plays a very big role in that, and that she's going to have to side with Dr. Berg. So I guess we'll give a little bit more context. I don't want to go on too much of a rant, but Dr. Berg basically said things in his video about how ADHD is not genetic, which is just categorically wrong, according to just a wealth of decades of research that we've done on the subject. And that effectively just, you do what he mostly says to do with everything, which is go on a strict ketogenic diet and practice intermittent fasting, and then everything magically is going to get better with you in pretty much all respects. So then this commenter goes on to say, how much did Big Pharma pay you to make this video? Well, I'm actually going to go ahead and rescind the ouch comment about this, because that's immensely flattering that you think that I'm influential enough in the field or on YouTube or something that Big Pharma would even remotely care what I have to say currently. I guess I feel a little bit like I'm being accused of something untoward. But regardless, Big Pharma didn't pay me anything to respond to Dr. Berg's video. All right. I was responding to a lot of, in my opinion, nonsense. And I'm even going to go out on a limb and say some of that's not really an opinion, because Dr. Berg just said things that just entirely tossed aside decades of empirical evidence. Now, he could maybe criticize that empirical evidence and have something academic and useful to say, maybe saying all the research is wrong or something. That might be a start, but to just make this video that, because he's got this huge YouTube channel and millions of people subscribe to him and watch him and are influenced by what he has to say. So if you're going to say things like it's not genetic, we've started to find in research, we've actually started to identify specific genetic markers for ADHD. I mean, that's how specific we've gotten into it. So to say it's not genetic is just silly. But so no, Big Pharma didn't pay me to criticize Dr. Berg. I took the initiative because I saw the video and was just like, huh? And I am certainly not the only person out there to criticize the man when it comes to the things that he has to say that don't have a lot of bearing in the facts of reality as we see them. Another commenter on this subject said something about sugar being a neurotoxin to children, and I'm not a physician or a nutritionist or anything like that, but no one has ever tried to study ADHD without sugar in the diet. Well, there's also been a lot of research on this subject from what I understand, and I believe that the evidence really shows that we just can't really find a consistent link between sugar consumption and ADHD symptoms in particular. Now, I think like you'd probably just sort of hear out there anecdotes about some people who maybe feel really hyper, or I know for me, like if I eat too much sugary or really, really starchy stuff, I do tend to get a little jittery, I guess. But just on the subject, I don't really believe that there's any scholarship or research that shows good evidence that that sugar is linked with causing ADHD symptoms. So let me just explain. I'm going to put my phone down here. Wah, there. Ha. So let me explain a little bit about ADHD. So ADHD is a neurodevelopmental disorder, which is to say it's a difference in brain, body, and genes. It's something one is born with. And one of its hallmarks basically has to do, and I happen to be a good model for this because, I don't have any hair, but there's a hypoactivity, and hypoactivity means, not as active, whereas hyperactivity means, overly active. But there's a hypoactivity in the several parts of the brain, probably the most interesting one being the prefrontal cortex, which is the seat of executive functioning, which is to say checking your energy levels, regulating your mood, planned behavior, checking your impulse or impulses and things like that. And so what happens in ADHD is that part of the brain isn't firing as much as it should be, and so it's not balancing the rest of the brain. It's not balancing like the motor, the seat of motor activity. It's not balancing everything else, and so that's what happens there. And so the medications that are usually prescribed, from what I understand, is the idea is that they help to kind of counter that balance by kicking that part of the brain back up into gear so that it can more appropriately check things. So I guess it's possible that someday we'll find out that entire situation could be linked somehow with sugar, consumption. And I'm hardly advocating sugar or advocating against it per se, just because that goes beyond the scope of the video. But so to answer that comment, no, not really. I don't think that there's any established scholarship to that subject. Really, with ADHD, the two big treatments are, medication, and if you've got a kid with a lot of hyperactivity symptoms, the medication in particular is likely to be of a lot more benefit because it's the hyperactivity side. There's two potential big categories of symptoms with ADHD. You've got the hyperactive impulsive type, you've got inattention, and then you can have a combination thereof. And it's the hyperactivity side that usually responds the most clearly to medication. And, in situations where I've diagnosed ADHD as a child psychologist and then made a referral for medication, it doesn't happen every time, but very frequently it can produce just wonderful changes for the better. And frankly, I'm conservative about referring for medication. I mean, I certainly will in specific situations, that being one of them for sure. So that's something to really bear in mind. The other treatment, is of course therapy. And it's not that therapy itself is going to make the ADHD go away, and the medicine doesn't make the ADHD go away, but therapy provides just a lot of opportunity for a kiddo with ADHD to have a lot of extra support managing behavior. And another critical component is providing support and education to parents, caregivers, and teachers regarding ADHD, because very often we have to kind of adjust expectations and things like that, because kiddos with ADHD very often really struggle to benefit from consequences in the environment and be able to kind of go into a similar situation where it didn't go well and kind of slow themselves down and go, oh, hang on, I remember this situation. Last time I did X, and then Y happened, and Y, stank. It didn't feel good. Maybe I should do Z instead. They really struggle to do that. So therapy can provide an extra brain a brain who's hopefully familiar with this stuff to try to help. So those are the two treatments. So at any rate, wow, I can't believe people are still, posting comments on the response video I did to Dr. Berg. Not that I mind in the least, even the kind of ouchy ones. I appreciate your willingness to comment on the channel, even if it's a little bit ouchy. And I'm not so sure I deserve to be accused of being paid to, make a video. Although I guess if the channel gets big someday, I'll have to think about, if sponsors start to approach me, that's something I'll think about very carefully, by the way, because the goal of the channel is to provide good information, and I will jealously guard my ability to say exactly what I feel like I need to say. So at any rate, thank you. Yeah, this was fun, making a video on comments. Wow, had enough comments to do that. So thanks everyone for your comments on the channel. Please continue to do so, even if they're, critical. That is very welcome here. So thanks very much. This is Dr. Brett Pearce, child psychologist, signing out.